So today we are going to work on composite functions. So that means putting a function inside of another function. So here are our two functions. We have f of x and g of x. Okay. Remember, these are just the names, and because it has x in parentheses, it means that I have an x in each of my two equations, which I totally do. Okay, so the first one, I want to know what f is after I do g of 2. Okay, so we have to do g of 2 first. So I'm going to write that down, g of 2. Okay, so here's my g function. So what this means is I'm going to take out my x in my g, or whatever letter is there, and replace it with the number that I have here, which is 2. So I take out my x and replace it with my 2, which means that everywhere I see an x in my equation or my function, I need to put a 2 in that spot. So I only have an x here, so I'm going to put a 2 where my x is, and then write everything down. So basically it's like substitution. Okay, and the rest is just minus 3. So 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Okay, so now I know what g of 2 is. I know g of 2 is negative 1. So I'm going to take that value and I plug it in here. So instead of my original function, which was f of g of 2, so f of g of 2, I know that g of 2 is actually negative 1. So I'm really trying to figure out what f of negative 1 is. So we look at our f function. I'm going to take out my x and replace it with negative 1. So we have 3, and then since 3 were right next to each other, they get multiplied. So 3 times negative 1 plus 2. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, and negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So my answer is negative 1. So you have to go from the inside out, okay? So the same thing on number 2. I have to figure out what f of 2 is to start. So I look at my f function. Instead of x, I'm going to replace the x with my number that's inside of my parentheses, which is 2, because it's in the inside. We start with the inside and work our way out. Okay, so I have 3 times 2 plus 2. Well, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So I know that f of 2 is not f of 2, it's really 8, because that's what we got here. So I have my g, so I'm going to figure out g of 8. So we figure out the inside answer and use that for our next function. Well, g is x minus 3, so instead of x, we put an 8, because that's what our x is whatever number's in our parentheses, and we subtract 3. 8 minus 3 is 5, so my answer for number 2 is 5. So we're going to keep going. If you noticed here, I've worked out your quiz questions. Okay, f of 3. So we always start on the inside and work our way out. So we're going to start with f of 3. So I take my f function, I'm going to replace my x with my 3. Since my 3 and my x are getting multiplied, my numbers have to get multiplied, then add 2. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So I'm trying to figure out g of f of 3, but really I know f of 3 is 11, so I'm figuring out g of 11. Well, my g function is just x minus 3, so instead of x, I replace it with my actual number, which is 11. 11, 10, 9, 8 is my final answer for number 5. Okay, number 6 is very, very similar. We're going to take our g function, start on the inside, and work our way out. So, g of negative 10. So we have negative 10 minus 3, which is negative 13. Okay, so I now know this inside right here should really be negative 13, because that's what g of negative 10 equals. So I'm figuring out what f of negative 13 is. Okay, so we take out our x value in our f function. So we have 3 times negative 13 plus 2. Whoops, I don't need a parenthesis there. Okay, so you can always use your calculator if you want to. 3 times negative 13 plus 2 is negative 37. So f of g of negative 10 is actually negative 37 after our steps are all done. Okay, so now we have this bottom section. We're going to do 10 and 15. Okay, so on number 10, it's slightly different just because I have a fraction, but it's still the same idea. Start on the inside and work your way out. So I want to find f of 2 first, because that's on the inside. So f of 2, so my f function is here. It has a negative already, so remember when you substitute, you only replace that letter. Okay, so keep your cute little negative. We're putting in a 2 there because that's what it says inside my parentheses. Then we're going to add 6. Negative 2 plus 6 is positive 4. Okay, so that was the inside, so now I need to do the outside. So I'm going to replace it into my g. So we have 4 plus 4 divided by 2. Well, 4 plus 4 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. So my answer on number 10 is 4. Then we have 15 to do as well. So we start on the inside and work our way out. We have g of 100. So I'm going to take my g, my fraction, and I'm going to put 100 where my x is, and then add 4, and then divide by 2. Again, you can always use your calculator if you want to. 100 plus 4 divided by 2 is 52. So I have g of 100 is really equal to 52. So I don't want to use g of 100. I want to use what it equals, which is 52. And we're going to plug that into our f. So we're really doing f of negative, positive, I lied, 52. Okay. So we really have a negative on the outside. We keep that there, and we're just replacing our x, which is supposed to be equal to 52. Then we have our second number, which is in our f function, and that's plus 6. So we have negative 52 plus 6, and negative 52 plus 6 is negative 46. So our answer on number 15 is negative 46. Alright, so that's how you do functions. If you need more help, you can watch the video from yesterday. If you have any questions, let your teacher know. Have a great day, guys. Bye!